After the rich New York girl lost her memory, she pursued me fiercely. Olivia and I pretended to be a couple for 3 years, but gradually I found that I really fell in love with her. Just when she got pregnant, I was determined to propose to her. I heard the senior who had bullied me on campus say to her, "Olivia, thank you for pretending to have amnesia to take my revenge. I fixed Jacob 99 times. As long as I fix him once more 100 times, I'll go out with you." I then realized that Nathan was the one Olivia had always loved but could not get. I was just a tool she used to please Nathan. Later, I died in a plane crash. Olivia searched the wreckage like crazy. In the end, she only found a ring. It said, 100th prank. I bet you love me. I heard that Olivia knelt in the ruins and cried herself unconscious. She was taken to the hospital. When she woke up, she fell out with everyone involved in the prank, and I was in the snow in France. Smiling, I burned the medical records. She pretended to have amnesia to trick me into giving her my heart. I used a fake death to teach her a lesson. Only a wall separates us. Nathan's tone rose. Olivia, the prank has succeeded for the 96th time. Olivia's tone was tinged with an uncommon amount of mockery. Nathan, brother, do you think this is funny? I'm doing this for you. Brother-in-law, it's because Jacob stole your national scholarship and first place in the game design competition. Olivia's friends also joined in the ridicule. Brother-in-law, once Jacob has had 100 failures, Olivia will be able to announce your relationship publicly. I froze. Olivia is really good at playing games. She came up with the idea of pretending to have amnesia to get back at Jacob. The first time she made Jacob look for the bracelet in the rain. When she finally gave it to Nathan, his face was priceless. My mother gave me that bracelet before she died. Olivia said she lost it when she moved. It was raining that day. I looked for it for 7 hours. I ended up with a fever of 40 degrees. My fingernails dug into the palms of my hands. He tightly gripped the ring he had planned to propose to Olivia with. The most unexpected thing was the day of the defense. Olivia lied to him, saying she had been beaten up after getting drunk at a bar. Her sisters laughed until they were on the floor. Jacob hurried to the bar, but it was empty. The way he cried and begged his advisor was secretly filmed by me. That time, I gave up on the defense I had been preparing for half a year and ran to Olivia. As a result, I had to postpone my graduation. Nathan chuckled softly, and that time, I folded a paper airplane using the game design drawings Jacob and I had worked on for 3 all-nighters. He spent the whole night picking them up with red eyes. It was like a homeless dog. Olivia asked with a smile, "How are you going to tease Jacob this time?" "Just tell him I've gone to the hospital. Tell him to hurry. We're going to a party. Let him wait in vain. What do you think?" My phone suddenly vibrated. I had a message from Olivia. "City Hospital Emergency Room. Come quickly." 2 minutes later, Olivia had deleted the message. It seemed like she regretted lying to me. I pretended not to see it, and I didn't reply. In fact, I had already guessed this. While Olivia was taking a shower, I accidentally saw an encrypted video on her phone called Game Progress. Right? There were 96 of these videos in total, exactly the same number of pranks as I have experienced. The password is Nathan's birthday, 12/24. She told me that was the day she first met me. Last year on this day, I waited for her in the snow for 3 whole hours, just to spend Christmas Eve with her. She was at the Smith family villa drinking red wine with Nathan. She didn't come until late at night. Olivia gently put the scarf around my neck. Her eyes were gentle. It's as if she especially treasures me. My heart aches. I open WeChat. I see in the topmost chat box. Every day, she reports to Nathan on the progress of her pranks. The details are very detailed. For example, today she tricked Jacob into thinking that the company had to work overtime. In fact, she went to Disney with you. As a result, Jacob waited until 3 a.m. Another time, she deliberately said that Jacob's competition was 2 hours later. The way he ran around in his pajamas made me laugh. The last message stopped on the day of the class reunion. Nathan accidentally spilled hot coffee. Olivia immediately stepped in front of me to protect me, but in the chat history, she said she felt uncomfortable whenever she encountered him. She even said she had to spray disinfectant 3 times. I called my father. I told him I wanted to go to Paris with him. 5 years ago, after my mother passed away, he stayed in the place where they fell in love. He stayed by her side until the end, and for Olivia, stayed in the country. I gave up the chance to study abroad. I couldn't see Dad for an entire year. I once thought, as long as I could warm Olivia's heart, spring would come. I ignored the fact that after the ice melts, Only the biting cold remains. The love of a moth to a flame was nothing but a prank, and I was just a stepping stone for her to chase after the ideal man. Hearing me say this, Dad was very happy, saying that I had finally let go. I held back my tears. I replied softly, Dad, when I leave, could you help me arrange a plane crash? Although he didn't understand my intentions, he still nodded. The plane crash was the last gift I gave Olivia. I wanted her to regret the name Jacob for the rest of her life. I deleted all the photos on my phone. When I went home to pack, a notebook fell out of Olivia's safe. The dark green cover was embossed with the phoenix emblem from the game Ashes of the Sea. That was the first version of the logo I designed over 36 all-nighters. Olivia had it printed on the cover. Inside were all my design manuscripts. She had carefully collected them and wished me the best of luck. When I turned to page 7, I suddenly froze. Next to the photo of me wearing glasses and typing code, there was a sticky note. It said, Today Jacob criticized the plan like a fierce Tibetan mastiff, but his revised plan is 10 times better than before. How can there be such a cute genius? Every time I stay up late to finish a draft, Olivia will be by my side, giving me a massage and cooking noodles for me to eat. Because I often stay up late, she deliberately learned to make healthy tea and prepare nutritious meals for me. Although she always says it's a love prank, but in fact, she is also very involved. The last page is stuck with the ticket stub from last year's Valentine's Day. It is written in her neat handwriting. If I had to choose again, I would still pretend to lose the ticket, lie to Jacob and stay at the airport with him overnight to revise the plan. Because this is the 72nd prank I have promised Nathan. Raindrops crackle on the bay window. All the feelings might just be self-deception. She might have some feelings for me, but she likes Nathan more. I'm just the object of her emotional release. My hands tremble as I take out my phone. I book a ticket to leave. It's late at night. I'm lying in bed. I hear Olivia come home. I pretend to be asleep. I don't react in any way. The mattress behind me sinks in. A pair of arms embraces me tightly. Olivia rested her head next to my neck, like a tired bird returning to the forest. Her breath was warm, and she said with a happy emotion, We're having a baby, a little bear named Jacob. I replied, I know. My phone was connected to Olivia's medical information. I received her prenatal test report first. So I spent all my savings, bought the most expensive diamond ring. Without hesitation, I ran to propose to her. But in the end, I found out that all this love was just a prank. My heart felt like it had been hit hard by acid. I couldn't calm down for a long time. The baby. Olivia was carrying the final testament to our love from those 3 years. This was also an oversight on her part when she played her pranks. An accident. Jacob Bear, do you hear me? I've been silent for too long. Olivia became a little anxious. Jacob Bear was the nickname she gave me. She said I looked like a caramel-colored teddy bear, her own special warmth. She wanted me to stay with her forever. I really believed her, but then I found out. She and Nathan and the others laughed at me for being so naive. She had made up the name Jacob Bear just to tease me. They just wanted to see me go from being so superior to being a love-struck fool. Jacob Bear, we'll try to be the best parents we can be. Take good care of the baby. It's as if a voice inside me is reminding me to promise that I will never leave, that I will always be here. I hear it. I respond calmly, but my heart is already wavering. I'm even considering returning the plane ticket. Maybe Olivia will stop her pranks. Olivia doesn't notice anything amiss. She takes out the pregnancy test and lightly draws 3 little hearts on it with a pen. The pen is a Marlboro I bought her with my first month's salary. She has always carried it with her over the years, never letting go. I didn't say anything. Olivia hugged me even tighter and kept whispering sweet nothings. I reached out and hugged her back, feeling a little sleepy. I told her to go to bed early. She stopped talking immediately and just said, Tomorrow we'll go to Nathan's birthday party. I fell asleep soon after, but I still took Olivia's concern for me too seriously. At the birthday party, Olivia's sisters pushed the biggest piece of cake in front of her. They said, Olivia, Nathan said you like sweets the most. You are as cute as a bear. I looked up at Olivia when I heard the voices, but she turned her head, pretending not to notice, and continued eating the cake. As soon as she took a bite, Olivia looked like she wanted to vomit. Her sisters held her down. They kept shoving the unfinished cake into her mouth. You can't just take one bite. We promised to trick Jacob into an abortion. Don't give up halfway. What are you doing? I realized something was wrong. I quickly ran over, but Nathan held the cake in front of me. He said, Jacob, today is my birthday. "Do me a favor." After he said that, he called a few people to hold me down, and forced the cake into my mouth. After Olivia finished the cake, she immediately ran into the bathroom. She threw up heavily. Blood ran down her lower body. It flowed down her legs and onto the floor. It looked very frightening. "Kid, I'm going to rush in." But Nathan stood in the doorway, smiling and saying, "It's just menstrual irregularities. It's very common in girls. Jacob, don't make a fuss." Before I could say anything, suddenly, my stomach hurt like a needle. It was very dense. I fell to my knees. I kept foaming at the mouth. Olivia's friends laughed. They took out their phones to take pictures of my miserable appearance. My head was dizzy. I collapsed to the ground. Only then did I suddenly realize that this birthday party was another carefully planned prank. The bet was on whether Olivia and I would have a child. Olivia won again. When I woke up, outside the clinic, Nathan sneered and said to Olivia's friends, "Did you put too much hallucinogen in it? Didn't you say you just wanted to make Jacob lose face in front of everyone? Why did it turn into poisoning?" The sisters said with a smile, "Getting Jacob's stomach out of order can be considered a success. Olivia will definitely thank me." At least Olivia successfully dealt with the burden in her stomach. The plan worked. I can't wait to see Jacob's reaction when he wakes up. I got a video of Jacob on his knees foaming at the mouth. I'll send it to the group later. Olivia was silent for a long time before she said, "Pranks are one thing, but don't joke about his health." Nathan asked angrily, "Who said we should let the nerd taste what it's like to fall from a height? You took revenge for me. Wasn't the prank your idea? Poisoning Jacob. You ended up having a miscarriage. And you said it was my birthday present. Did you fall for Jacob?" Olivia immediately denied it, saying it was impossible. "I do love you very much." There was immediately a flurry of activity outside the door. They were celebrating the 98th successful prank. Then they started planning the 99th. I touched my stomach, which was still aching. I walked in the door. Olivia didn't look like a mother who had just had a miscarriage. That's when I understood. Me and the baby. It was just a birthday present she gave Nathan. Olivia had set up the amnesia. I had given her 3 years of my heart. Now, I wanted to fake my own death, so she would regret it for the rest of her life. I trembled as I prepared to call my father. Just then, Olivia walked in. I quickly closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. I could only hear her apologetic voice, a little hoarse. "Jacob, I'm sorry. The reason is obvious." After being discharged from the hospital, Olivia told me, Nathan and the others had asked us to go climb Chessboard Mountain. She said the temple at the top was very powerful. It could pray for our dead child. She asked me to go with her. I understood that this might be another prank, but when I thought about the child, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness in my heart. After this, I'm going to France. Let's consider this as the last time I see my child. Along the way, they all surrounded Nathan, joking and flattering him, but they ignored me. When we arrived at the prayer tree, Olivia bought a blessing plaque. Together, we wrote down our blessings for our child. Nathan praised me from the side, saying, "Jacob, you're a good and capable father." I ignored his insincere attitude. There were not many spaces left on the wishing tree. I had to lean over the fence to hang it. I had just leaned over halfway. Suddenly someone gave me a hard shove from behind. I was completely unprepared. I fell forward. I rolled down the steep slope. Intense pain spread through my body in an instant. It felt as if my insides were being turned inside out. Half asleep, I heard Olivia's trembling voice. "Bear, don't be afraid. I'll take you to the hospital right away." I asked softly, "Why?" Tears blurred my vision. "Why did you do this to me?" My body was injured, but the pain in my heart was even more unbearable. I never expected them to do this to me. When I woke up again, my right leg was tightly wrapped in a cast. The doctor told me that this leg might be permanently damaged. Olivia was sitting by the bed. She didn't look well. She looked a little uncomfortable. Her eyes were full of guilt and concern. She drew a little teddy bear on the cast and whispered, "Teddy bear, I will always be with you until you are completely well." I closed my eyes. She tucked me in gently, very carefully, afraid of disturbing me. She was busy preparing the things I needed for the hospital. It took almost an hour before she stopped. She looked like a very responsible girlfriend, but she is also the one who made me become like this. I pretended to be asleep, but my heart was aching so much that my heartbeat quickened. Olivia stayed by the bedside all night. She didn't sleep a wink. From time to time, she kissed the teddy bear on the cast. Tears kept falling. She held my hand tightly, as if I would disappear if she let go. She whispered, "I'm sorry, teddy bear. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have listened to them. I shouldn't have hurt you. Luckily, I still have a chance. I'll never hurt you again. Teddy bear, you're my life, she whispered. Her voice was a little choked up. She kept looking at me like that all night. I knew she was upset because I was hurt. She had even said so before in front of Nathan and the others. Someone tried to play a prank, but they must never be allowed to hurt me. I felt a little soft, but then I felt pretty ridiculous. Olivia's rules. Nathan comes first. This was the 99th prank. I was still the one being played for his amusement, and Olivia was once again letting it happen. Who could guarantee that, on the 100th time, she wouldn't help someone else hurt me? The next day, while Olivia was out buying breakfast, I called my father. I asked him to send his bodyguards to pick me up. I also arranged for the plane crash. While I was waiting, Nathan arrived. He was beaming. He looked particularly pleased with himself. He said, "Jacob, breaking your leg was part of my plan. This is the 99th time I've tricked you." I ignored him. Nathan looked me up and down. Then he looked down at the designer watch Olivia had given him. He said, "This is your 100th competition at Kiri. If things stay the same, you'll be found guilty of plagiarism." He also mentioned the game you developed, Ashes of the Sea. Olivia has already sent him all the copy content. She has already fixed the organizing committee. The time you submit will always be 3 minutes later than mine. You just wait for everyone to laugh at you. Kiri is the most famous game design competition in the country. I have been preparing for it for 2 years. The game copy of Mountain and Sea Ashes is now on my computer. I was so angry that I couldn't help it. I raised my hand and punched Nathan. He actually stole from me, and he's still thinking about my girlfriend. I shouted at him, "Nathan, people like you are only worthy of using things that have been used by others. Don't you feel disgusted?" Nathan frowned. He raised his hand and was about to hit me, and he snapped back. "Now you're using something that someone else has used." Nathan's hand was about to fall, but suddenly it stopped. Olivia had returned. Behind her were the bodyguards that Dad had called. She suddenly lost her temper with Nathan. Nathan understood that she still wanted to pull a romantic prank for the last time. She had to pretend to be in love with me. He didn't say anything and left. Before Olivia could explain, the bodyguards pushed a wheelchair over and wanted to take me away. She sensed that something was wrong. She immediately pressed the wheelchair handle. She asked nervously, "Bear, what are you going to do?" I lowered my head. I answered, "I'm going to France to heal my wounds. My father is very worried about me." Olivia disagreed. She said she didn't trust me. I insisted that my father wanted to see me soon. She had to agree. She immediately booked a flight for the next day in front of me. She said she would come and see me. She even asked for my flight number. I hesitated. I said it was MU 5882. She was about to see me off, but then her phone suddenly rang. It was her sister Emily. She sounded anxious. "Olivia, come quickly. Your brother-in-law has fallen down the stairs." Olivia didn't say a word of explanation about my brother-in-law, about saying goodbye. She just dashed out of the room. I gave the bodyguard a wry smile. "Let's go." We went to the airport. "Young master, the flight route has been arranged." Mr. Smith said he would create the perfect scene of a plane crash. The electronic screen at the boarding gate displayed CA 1621. I nodded and boarded the plane to France. Olivia said that was the day we first met. Whether this was true or not, I decided to freeze this moment so that she would always remember me. Remember that I died because of her mischievous games. This will become the regret of her life. In the last moments before the plane crashes, I send Olivia a text message. "Olivia, your 100th prank. I'll play along with you to the end." My phone is immediately bombarded with countless incoming calls and messages. The MU 5882 plane crash is over. I take one last look at my phone. Nathan's Twitter account pops up in my special attention list. Olivia said she wanted to play a compilation of pranks by a clown at our wedding. She also said that the image of someone crying their heart out would be perfect for the opening credits. The picture shows Olivia's safe in the Hentang residence. Inside, there are 99 voice recorders neatly arranged. I look at the countless missed calls from Olivia. I smile and pull out the SIM card. She doesn't know about the plane crash yet. She just thinks I found out about the prank she's been planning. She'll be puzzled and angry, maybe even scared, or just feel uneasy, not knowing what to do. None of that matters anymore. Dad told me, making a private jet disappear from the radar is as easy as wiping fingerprints off a wedding photo. It's completely worry-free for me, and I'll disappear completely from Olivia's life. When Olivia heard about the plane crash, She didn't hesitate to rush to the scene of the accident. She used her hands to push aside the smoking metal fragments. Her custom-made dress had been cut by the steel bars. The firefighters tried to stop the distraught woman, but they were shocked by her bloodshot eyes. She shouted, "My fiancé is in there. He was wearing the teddy bear necklace I gave him today." At that moment, a tall, unfamiliar man walked over. He stopped her. Olivia ignored him. Kneeling on the ground, she kept turning over the debris in different directions, hoping to find a familiar figure. "Master Jacob's ashes must be taken back to Paris. He will be buried with his mother. You have wronged him. No matter what you do, you cannot undo the wrong you have done. That was my father's assistant." Olivia's legs gave way. She knelt down on the ruins. Suddenly, she saw a ring. With trembling hands, she picked it up. It was the same model as the one she and I had chosen together in the jeweler's store. But there was a line of words engraved on the ring. 100 pranks. Bet you love me. I engraved those words later. Olivia felt like she had been struck by lightning. Her whole body was shaking. She realized then, I knew everything. Not only had she hurt me time and time again, she had also tacitly approved of Nathan and her brother's bullying and humiliating me. During the course of the prank relationship, Olivia had developed feelings for me, but she was deceiving herself. She thought she was still in love with Nathan. She didn't want to lose face in front of Nathan and his friends. She was afraid to admit her true feelings. Anyway, according to her plan, the prank was about to reach 100 times, and I didn't know anything about it. She could have just ignored it and continued to pretend to be my perfect girlfriend. After all, I loved her deeply, with all my heart, but she didn't realize I had actually discovered it a long time ago and had been playing along with her. Now, Olivia's heart finally resonated with mine. We had been in a relationship for 3 years. She always habitually stood to my left, very close to my heart. It looked intimate, but it was always like a galaxy apart. The relationship was lukewarm. Now, she finally understood the pain I had endured, whether it was a ruined career, delayed studies, a leg injury, a miscarriage, or losing a competition and being cheated on by a loved one. Every time she had to make a choice, none of it mattered compared to Nathan's words. Olivia knelt in the wreckage of the plane. In a daze, she cried until she was almost exhausted. Later, she was discovered by a kind staff member and taken to the hospital. Nathan saw Olivia like a walking corpse. His heart was a little upset. He thought, it happens to be the 100th time. Let's make our relationship public. However, Olivia didn't react at all. Jacob took the USB stick and smiled triumphantly. "Olivia, would you like to be the guest of honor?" Olivia's face fell. Her eyes were cold. She suddenly rushed forward. She slapped Jacob hard. Then she grabbed him by the neck and slammed him against the French windows. "I'm not going to be with you. If you touch Jacob's stuff, I'll make sure you spend your 25th birthday in prison." "Nathan, we're not finished." Nathan covered his face, angrily said, "Are you crazy? Jacob is dead. Why are you so excited? Don't forget, you set him up to take out your anger on him." Olivia's friends also said, "That's right. Jacob is finally gone." Olivia can finally be completely relieved. It's a pity that she didn't get to see Jacob's last embarrassment. What a pity. Ha ha ha. I was even planning to get someone to mess up Jacob's design at the competition. Olivia shouted, "Stop it. If you hadn't pulled those pranks, Jacob would never have gotten into trouble." The girls looked at each other, then they burst out laughing. "You were the one who wanted to trick Jacob. You're the one who got him into trouble. You're the one who should be responsible. What's with the deep feelings? You're the one who put laxatives in Jacob's stomach medicine. You're the one who made him miss his reply." Before she could finish, Olivia pushed her to the ground. The two of them immediately struggled. In the end, Olivia was too weak. She suffered multiple injuries. She was rushed to the emergency room. My father's assistant later told me the latest news about her. She has cut off contact with all her relatives and friends. She often hurts herself. She keeps saying sorry to her fiancé. She also frequently visits psychiatrists. She also had a tombstone erected for me in a cemetery in New York. She often spends a long time there. The logo of the game we designed together is engraved on her chest. Everyone knows about it. Olivia has never been able to let go of the love of her life, who died in the plane crash. I don't think much of this. She continues to receive state-of-the-art leg treatment in France. 2 years later, I set up a game studio in France and launched the fantasy game Mountain and Sea Ashes, which I had designed independently. I submitted the work under the name Jacob to an international game design competition. Because the game incorporates elements of Chinese mythology and fantasy upgrades, the main style is very appealing to European and American players. Plus the quality is excellent. I finally won the gold medal. This also triggered a huge response in China. This is the first time a Chinese game designer has won a gold medal in this competition. The auction price of the game soared. It directly rushed to the tens of millions level. Every day, countless partners flocked to the studio to discuss cooperation. The auction was scheduled for 3 days later. My father asked me, "With all this fanfare, aren't you afraid Olivia will come looking for you? I heard she's in New York circles. She's already been called her late husband's lunatic. Anyone who mentions Jacob's name in her presence will drive her out of control." I laughed easily and said, "It doesn't matter to me. 2 years have passed. It is she who is trapped in the shadows, not me. Now I am not afraid of anyone." Dad looked at my legs, which could already walk. He nodded. "People like Olivia, if they dare to trouble you, Dad will drive them away." Mountain and Sea Ashes is a manuscript that I completed stroke by stroke in front of her. She knows almost every design inside out. Now the work has won the gold medal in an international competition. It is impossible for her not to have heard of it, and she will not be unsuspecting. She never expected it. The plane crash was a fake death, but there was a clue. It was much easier to investigate. The day after the international game competition announced the gold medal, Olivia appeared at the door of my studio. She was surprisingly thin. The shawl hung loosely on her shoulders. The collar faintly revealed the phoenix tattoo on her collarbone. She was wearing the 100 prank ring I had lost in the plane crash around her neck. Her eyebrows and eyes had become deep from long-term melancholy. There was a cold sense of detachment about her. When she saw me, Olivia's eyes immediately softened. She looked straight at me. She whispered, "Xiongmao." Her voice was a little hoarse. "Congratulations on winning the gold medal at the international competition." Hearing the old nickname, I felt disgusted. Olivia excitedly held up her dark green notebook. A stiff smile appeared on her face. She said to me, "Congratulations, your dream has come true." She tried to use this notebook full of past memories to keep me, but I had already discovered that it contained Nathan's mischievous instructions. No matter what, I could not convince myself that this was a love album that belonged only to me. I kept my expression neutral. In a calm tone, I said, "Olivia came in person to present the trophy. Unfortunately, someone who has died on the podium cannot receive the blessings of the living." Olivia, however, seemed to have missed the irony in my words. She just confirmed that I was still alive. Her emotions suddenly got out of control. Tears fell all at once. Her voice trembled as she said, "You're still alive. That's really great. I thought I would never see you again." She took out the nephrite necklace that my mother had left me. She had previously jokingly thrown the necklace away. Later, she gave it to Nathan. She handed the necklace to me and said, "Xiao Xiong, I'm returning it to you. I was wrong. These past 2 years, I have lived every day in pain and self-blame. I hate myself. I have done too many things to hurt you. Can you?" The clothes on her wrist slipped down, revealing many shocking knife wounds. A stab of pain shot through my heart, but I didn't bother to pay any attention to her fake deep feelings. I just wanted to take back my mother's belongings. "No way," I interrupted her coldly. "The Jacob who loved you is gone. He died in a plane crash 2 years ago. I've been through 100 surgeries, miscarriages, and leg injuries. Do you know how many surgeries I had to have to stand up again? Olivia, how could you do this to me?" I lift up my trousers. The cold metal joints of my prosthetic legs are exposed. The scars from the operation cling to the muscles. They look shriveled and ugly. "All of this is because of you." Olivia freezes, stunned. She can't find the words. Her eyes are red. Her pain is unmistakable. I used to hope that she would be firmer with me in the prank game, that she would love me more. But none of that happened. Olivia took my hand in hers. After hearing those words, she knelt directly in front of me, looking pleadingly like an abandoned puppy. "I understand that I have made mistakes, but since God has allowed us to meet again, it means that we still have a connection. I beg you, give me another chance." "Jacob, bear," she said, while trying to hug my leg. My whole body trembled, feeling extremely uncomfortable, and shouted at once, "Let go of me, Olivia, you're so abnormal. Who are you? Get out of the way." A tall woman rushed over, pulling Olivia away. Olivia had been in a long-term mental state. Almost immediately, she lost strength and fell to the ground. I took the opportunity to get back the necklace. Taylor stood in front of me, worried. She asked if I was hurt. I shook my head. She is a game designer in the studio, from Germany. I paid her a lot of money. Olivia's face is pale. She looks desperate, as if she's been abandoned. She crawls towards me with difficulty. Who is she? Are you in love with her? Jacob, you can't do this to me. I really can't live without you. What do I have to do to make you forgive me? Taylor stands in front of me. She says I'm a threat to the safety of my boss. She says she's going to call the police. Olivia can't move. She coughs a few times in pain. Her face was covered in dust. She had tears in her eyes. She looked terrible. I said coldly, no matter who it is, it has nothing to do with you. If you want me to forgive you, you'll have to die. With Taylor's help, I returned to the studio. I caught a glimpse of Olivia's eyes filled with the pain of being ignored and disregarded, just like I was 2 years ago. The next day, I was preparing for the auction of the Game Mountain and Sea Ashes. I suddenly received a call from the hospital in Paris. Olivia had cut her calf with a knife. When the paramedics arrived, she was lying in a pool of blood. She had a smile on her face, and she kept saying, "This way, the bear will forgive me." The hospital staff told me that Olivia insisted on contacting me. If I didn't go, she refused to receive treatment. Her wound is still bleeding profusely. The situation is very serious, but I can't forgive easily. It would be a betrayal of the person I was 2 years ago, who was cheated 100 times. I politely declined the staff's offer. I don't know this Olivia. If she really doesn't want treatment, I can help her contact the funeral home. Immediately, I heard Olivia's trembling voice on the other end of the line. "Bear, my leg hurts so much. I feel like I'm going to die. Please, can you come see me? Just take a look at me. You used to care about me so much." I felt a wave of nausea. I hung up the phone immediately. The old Jacob, as soon as he heard the slightest news about Olivia, he would drop whatever he was doing and rush over. But every time I got there, either there was no one there, or Nathan and the others were laughing at me. "Jacob, why are you so attentive to Olivia? She waves her hand and you rush over. Jacob, you're a disgrace in love. You're completely fawning over her. I'm very disappointed in you." I adjusted my emotions, got over the past, and continued preparing for the game auction the next day. This time, I was full of confidence. In the early morning the day before the auction, Nathan posted a bunch of source code and programming designs on Jacob's Weibo, including the framework for the game's initial operation, the computer display time display. This information is 2 years old. Nathan used this as evidence and accused me of copying his original game. Back then, Nathan had planned 99 prank games, but in the end Olivia dumped him. For 2 years, his family business had been under Olivia's attack. Life had been very difficult. Now I was back as the cause of all this trouble. Of course he was furious. I recognized it immediately. It was the game copy design that Olivia had secretly taken from my computer and gave it to Nathan. On the day I faked my death, Nathan proudly showed it to me, saying it would be the gold award-winning work of Kiri Games. Later, Olivia covered up for him and let him win the award. I became the plagiarist who submitted it 3 minutes after him. Later still, I didn't go to Kiri Games because I was recovering, and Nathan didn't dare to participate because of Olivia's threats. Who knew that 2 years later, he suddenly seemed to have given up? He took out all his pain and grievances on me. The microblog instantly shot to the top of the search list. The whole network was in an uproar. I, who had won a gold medal in an international competition, was now being portrayed as the villain who plagiarized an unknown designer. Once this dirty water was poured, the internet was full of voices cursing me. The original glory turned into a stolen one in an instant. The auction was the next day. The negative publicity will certainly damage the price and reputation of the game. Now it's shown on the official website. The auction price of our game has dropped to half the original price. More and more netizens are complaining to the competition officials. They say that a plagiarist like me doesn't deserve the gold medal. They demand that the award be revoked. My assistant is holding a tablet. He looks quite anxious. It's not too late to cancel the auction. I touched my right leg, which still hurts after rehabilitation. I looked out the window at the morning light in Paris. I pulled up the source file I had backed up 2 years ago. Proving myself was not difficult, but I had to search through so many manuscript source files and then organize the instructions. I didn't know how much time it would take, and the loss would be considerable. I might not be able to finish it all night. I was afraid that my Shanghaijian would be disqualified from the auction. Just as I was about to start dealing with it because of the headache, the door to the conference room suddenly opened and Master Jacob came in. "Look at the live broadcast. It's Olivia." I turned on the computer. I see her lying on a hospital bed. She's wearing a hospital gown. She's completely skinny. Her face is pale. There's an 4 in her hand. She has ECG electrodes on her chest. I can faintly see an unhealed knife wound at the collar of her hospital gown. That's a recent scar from when she tried to hurt herself. She's holding up a stack of thick, yellowed pieces of paper. These are Jacob's design drafts from 2019 to 2021. November 3rd, 2019, 2 a.m. Jacob messaged me in the library. He mentioned that the eyes of the phoenix should have the tearful light of nirvana. Olivia turned on a voice recorder. My voice came out along with the humming sound of the coffee machine. Olivia, the prototype of Chapter 3's maze is based on the Terracotta Army. Young Master Jacob, look at Weibo. I heard the alert. I immediately opened Weibo. Olivia had posted several videos. They contained a lot of handwritten design documents and programming records. There were also Git version records of all my design drawings. The timestamps were accurate to milliseconds. All of this proved one fact. Mountain and Sea Ashes was my original creation. It was not Nathan's work. I had participated in some of the development of this game. I can confirm that every idea in it was conceived by Jacob. In response to Nathan's actions, I will seriously consider legal action to protect Jacob's rights and interests. Now the public opinion has changed. Things have taken a turn for the better. Nathan thought he had finally defeated me this time. Unexpectedly, Olivia came forward to testify on my behalf. He had to delete the tweet and apologize. His family business has also been affected by this incident. Many collaborations have been cancelled. The internet is full of criticisms and accusations against him. At the end of the live broadcast, Olivia forced a smile onto her cold face. She suggested that everyone pay attention to the auction of Jacob's game, Ashes of the Sea, the following day. When she mentioned Jacob, she said she hoped she could make amends. I heard her words. My heart was filled with mixed emotions. I was speechless. The price of the game auction on the official website quickly rebounded. It even exceeded the previous level. At the auction, Olivia was in a wheelchair. She was pushed out. It was a scene not unlike when I first arrived in France. My colleague joked, "Is Olivia planning to bid on Master Jacob's Mountain and Sea Ashes too?" There were quite a few bidders. The price soared, but many people couldn't afford to pay higher prices, so they had to give up. In the end, the competition focused on Olivia and a Russian client. The price climbed from 10 million to 11 million. Taylor rubbed her face and sighed. "We still don't have a buyout system for this game. Subsequent revenue is endless. I'm almost living the dream." Then she added, "But your ex-fiancé is really persistent. Is she trying to win you back?" I pretended not to hear it. Just watch the fun. In the end, Olivia bought Mountain and Sea Embers for $2 million. This price is almost equivalent to the sum of the first 10 games. After the transaction was completed, she walked towards me. Since her leg injury, she had been busy for several days in a row. She looked pale. Her expression remained gloomy. "I bought this game as a gift for you. I have always admired your talent. I believe you will have a great future. I can shift my focus to France. Would you like that?" Olivia pursed her lips. She looked a little nervous. I smiled politely and said, "Thank you, Olivia, for your appreciation. Apart from work, I don't want anything else. I just want to make a fortune. Goodbye." Olivia's eyelashes trembled rapidly. Her pale lips coughed lightly. All expectations seemed to have been shattered. Without hesitation, I turned and left. Press conference. I was interviewed by the press. Someone asked curiously, "Young Master Jacob, your American Miss Olivia spent Jacob $2 million to buy Mountain and Sea Embers. When you were caught in a plagiarism scandal, she even produced your design sketches as evidence. Is there a special relationship between you? Are you friends? Are you lovers?" I hesitated. Then I answered frankly, "Back in the States, we were friends. We even discussed the production of the Cinder game together." After the press conference, Olivia was leaning on a crutch. Her assistant helped her walk towards me. I was discussing the next game design with my colleagues. I had no intention of paying any attention to her, but suddenly I heard the roar of an engine behind me. I turned around. I saw an unmarked van speeding towards me. Nathan was driving. He looked very tired. His face was unshaven. His eyes were vacant, but full of hatred. I immediately shouted, "Jacob, be careful." Olivia shook off her assistant. She pushed me hard away. She couldn't use her legs. She fell to the ground and was hit by a van coming from behind. There was a loud thud. I ran over immediately, but Olivia was covered in blood. I couldn't see clearly. I asked anxiously, "Olivia, are you okay?" She smiled weakly. This was the first time she had held my hand since we had reunited. She coughed up blood and said slowly, "Bear, I love you. In the next life, I will love you sincerely." After saying that, her hand let go weakly. Nathan was sentenced to death for voluntary manslaughter. Olivia's family took her body back to her homeland for burial. During the 100th plane crash in the prank game, Jacob, who had a relationship with Olivia, disappeared. The one who survived was Jacob. Jacob only lives for his family and his ideals. I decided to stay in France, continue to develop the next game project. A new session of the International Game Design Competition began. I submitted my latest work. I became the first game designer to win the gold medal twice in a row. A new life has just begun. It is full of hope, like the spring breeze.